I think we're live now. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Typical Skeptic podcast. I literally have one of my favorite guests with me tonight. I have with me Drago Reid. I usually play the intro. I have a new intro, and I usually play that guy. I know you guys like it, but it always causes interference, and I didn't want to mess up this interview. So until I get a control of what's going on with StreamYard and why they're causing interference, I'm not gonna put. I'm gonna figure that out. But anyway, tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, which is now, we have Drago Reid, fresh off his speech at the Super Soldier Con. Drago is going to get in tonight into the secrets of the SSP and take the audience questions. And a little bit more about my guest. Drago Reid is a Dolores Cannon trained level 2 quantum healing hypnosis technique practitioner who's performed over 900 regressions since 2018, a secrets-based program, MILAB experiencer, and some refer to him as the new Max Spears. Drago helps clients release and heal trauma, recover suppressed memories, and uncover the deeper truths of the multidimensional existence. Operating out of Tampa Bay, Florida, Drago specializes in accessing the somnambulistic state of trance, allowing him to reach the deepest levels of the subconscious mind. His unique skill set stems from 2 near-death experiences and a traumatic brain injury that awakened claircognizant and savant-like abilities, giving him an unparalleled capacity to understand complex energetic and psychological patterns. He works with individuals dealing with a wide range of experiences, including PTSD, trauma and emotional recovery, MK Ultra, Monarch, and mind-controlled deprogramming, secrets-based program on MILAB regression, near-death and out-of-body experiences, past life recall, memory retrieval, and spiritual integration. Drago is a world traveler, having visited 18 countries to study ancient civilizations and advanced healing practices. He also co-hosts a podcast with Laura Eisenhower, focusing on conscious disclosure and the hidden aspects of reality. And you can follow him on Rumble at Portal to Another Dimension. It's his Rumble channel. And you can also follow his website at fractaloflight.com. And with all that said, I'd like to give him a big warm welcome back to the show. Drago, thanks so much for coming back on, man. How are you?
Thanks for that awesome introduction, man. That pretty much summarizes me up. I always like coming back to your show, man. I like to do this on a regular basis, and we always have great questions from the audience, so it's always a good time for me, man.
Yeah. So how did it go? Did you want to tell people a little bit about your experience at the Super Soldier Con, and what do you feel like that it activated people? Because I watched a little bit of your presentation. It was amazing. It really was. It was like next level stuff.
Yeah, so I like to tell people in advance that I typically wake people up. I have command level syntax programmed into my voice. So when you're physically, a lot of times it affects you physically in person, and it can cause people to pass out, lose time, or get abducted. Like, I've had major speakers that attended my talks that lost time and were literally abducted. And I actually put some of these speakers under to figure out what the heck happened. And it turns out some of these speakers are also in the programs and they don't even know it themselves. And they were abducted to prevent them from hearing what I'm saying, because it would activate memory cascades, memory downloads, all kinds of stuff. So people starting to see that now over the last couple of years I've been speaking, that if you attend my talks, it's probably going to wake you up, because I'm not talking about what everyone else is talking about. Like I say in my talk, I don't take part in the Operation Mockingbird. Let's all repeat what all the people in the SSP are basically saying over and over and over, like ad nauseum. That's not who I am. A lot of the stuff I'm talking about during my presentations, I've never talked about physically in any interview, in any book, anywhere. So these are first time admissions ever. And this is the first time that I've ever prepared an entire timeline for my SSP and program experiences. So it was Brian Singh that invited me to speak for the first time last year at the Full Disclosure Now conference. And that kind of got me in gear to kind of start writing my story, because up till then I was only kind of generally speaking the outside layer of my experiences, because I knew that when I had a big enough audience, I would start opening up and unthrottling my information. So even the closest people to me, I didn't really talk about it, because I knew I needed these presentations in order to make that paper trail of what's being talked about, the nomenclature that's being introduced. Because I was telling you earlier before we started that a lot of the people in the SSP, they're not cleared. They do not have clearances. A lot of them don't have clearances that are high enough to know what these terms are. So like a lot of stuff, when I tell people, when I opened that conference or that presentation, I said, a lot of you guys are going to be learning a lot of stuff today. So I recommend you either hit audio record on your cell phone now, or you take notes. And then it's all down the rabbit hole from that moment. And like, it's been crazy how people's reacting to it.
Yeah, and what I thought was interesting is you said this is going to be like a 3-part discussion, like excluding the stuff that we talk about on these podcasts. Like I'm talking about like your conference, like what you're unloading at the conferences. Like you said, part 1 was at the Full Disclosure Now conference, part 2 was at the Super Soldier Con, then part 3 might possibly be at Miles Johnson's Basis Project. Is that correct? I lost them.
Sorry about that. I probably put together about 15 hours worth of presentation material just for the SSP that I've been creating over the last 2 years, 7 days a week, 365 with no days off, with no sleep. People that can remote view me, you can see that I have not stopped. It's been an obsession because I know I've got to get this out now before I can't get this out anymore. You know what I'm saying? Because no one knows the future of the SSP. No one knows the future of where the world's going and the puppeteers and what they have in mind. Like, everybody's talking about 3-Eye Atlas and like everybody's making these assumptions about what it is. And like, we need to stop focusing on that. We need to focus on what's happening now, because I believe that's a distraction. It's like predictive programming, you know? Everybody's making a stink on that. And like, no one's focusing on the stuff that's more important. Like, we have to uncover this stuff. It's being talked about in Congress right now en masse by the senators and congressmen. They're talking about super soldiers now. They're talking about UAPs and UFOs and underwater military bases. They're finally talking about all this. And they're bringing out tech from special access programs now, like VTOLs, vertical takeoff landing tech that we use in the SSP. Because you don't need a runway to actually take it off. You just shoot it up and it lands right back down. That's SSP stuff, man. That's like full-scale Palantir deployment of SSP kind of stuff connected to the ICC. Like that, it's heavy what's coming right now, man. And that needs to be the focus, not if it's a comet or if it's a draconian ship, blah, blah, blah. The SSP knows what it is. There's no scenario where the SSP doesn't know what's in our own airspace at any given time in our solar system or extrasolar. And we know what it is. But the reason why it's being talked about so much, I believe it's a distraction. It's a psyop in order to have you look left when everything's happening over here to the right, so the magician can perform his trick.
Yeah, you mentioned the ICC. I believe that's the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate. Can you explain to people who that is and like and why they're important? Because some people may not know. You know.
Yeah, they're also known as Planetary Corp or Planetary Corporation. They're basically the top of the pyramid. It constitutes ET groups, humanoid factions, and together they run all the major corporations on Earth and all the other planets. Like, let's take certain brands, like certain banana brands and like Pepsi. We have these brands extrasolar on other planets and moons. So like a lot of these things, it's not just Earth-based stuff. A lot of these major corporations that came out of nowhere and they're worth trillions of dollars now, these things are owned by Planetary Corp, which is the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate. They are the top of the pyramid outside this planet. So a lot of these CEOs that runs these mega corporations, they're actually assets of the ICC, put on these boards for reasons. A lot of them have German heritage from the Nachtwaffen, Operation High Jump, breakaway German colony civilization scenario. So it's a mix between different factions, different human and different ET groups. And it's kind of like they're trying to control all the taxes and the production of Earth and then combine that and then take it extrasolar or locally in our solar system for our other SSP factions. If that makes sense. So imagine like BlackRock, Vanguard, Blackstreet, they're all owned by Planetary Corporation, the ICC.
And do you believe there's like a galactic slave trade going on? I don't know if you get into that. Do you get into that? Like, do you believe there's like some kind of galactic slave trade going on, either to build other colonies and other worlds or recruit for the SSP or, you know?
The galactic slave trade has been going on for billions of years and it has not stopped, period. Ever since we had the invasion of Lyra from the Draconians, It has not stopped. We had to usurp ourselves and leave our own planets and then go to colonize other exoplanets to survive. We had to make bases on moons and different planets and go to different timelines and different star systems to escape the Draconians. And they've been operating one of the biggest slave trades, period, along with the Anunnaki. Like, the Draconians and the Anunnaki co-own the Earth. Technically, the Draconians own the Earth and every planet in this solar system, which is connected to the Black Blood Brotherhood of Saturn, which is a group you would call the Swartz Sun or the Black Sun. And that's where Hitler kind of comes into it, his obsession with the Black Sun and sending people all across the world to look for these relics and manuscripts and looking how to build reverse engineered craft, like in the Vimana Sastra, like you build in the Vimana crafts, in the Mahabharata, the Vedas, all that stuff. These came from extraterrestrial groups, man. So, like, the slave trade is one of the biggest things, period. And it's not just physical bodies, it's DNA. DNA is one of the biggest money makers, because in the SSP, when we're on other planets and other colonies and stuff, we're not using a general kind of money system. We're trading. We're trading in munitions. We're trading in Johnny Walker Red. We're trading in alcohol. We're trading in local food. Like, all kinds of stuff you can't imagine you would think would be currency, because there's not a general credit system that all these ET races and human factions we all agree on. They do have that, but it is not as widespread as you think. So that's why property and people are the most conveyed things that are transported and pimped out throughout the cosmos, and it's pretty jacked up, man.
Yeah, and I've heard people refer to you as like the new Max Spears, kind of, like, in a way. Like, what do you think brought that on? Do you think it's because you're bringing forward more cutting edge information than anybody? You think?
You know, it was a good friend of mine. It was John Whitberg that first told me that. He was the first one. He had watched my talk live, and he had told me that he had never seen anything like that since Max Spears. And I had a bunch of other SSP assets watching my live stream, and they all contacted me over a week, and every single one mentioned that I'm the new Max Spears. That did not come from me. They are messaging me, literally saying they are scared for my life because of what is in that Super Soldier Activation Conference presentation. It is next level. It is so next level what I was talking about that it was 3.5 hours long. I had an hour and 20-minute talk planned, and it went for 3.5 hours, and only an hour and 30 minutes of it was recorded, and we lost the rest. I don't know why we lost the rest, but all I know is a lot of people in that audience, they lost time again. People were abducted. People passed out. And every single person, there's someone in here, Mystifying Mark. He's in the comments. He actually, he was there for my talk. There's actually numerous people that were here in my talk that I can see. I can't read everything real quick, but even Julia Anchorhaven's here. She watched my talk live. And just like I said, the stuff I'm talking about, man, no one knows about a lot of this stuff. And that comes from having, like, commander level clearance, running, you know, Spectre class operations. That's special access program stuff in dark black fleets of Nachtwaffen and Kruger. So everybody's only talking about the superficial first layers of what's going on. But I'm going so deep that people are concerned that I'm going to get assassinated for this, which is both it's a compliment, but it's also a double-edged sword, because it can cut me no matter what. But I said this 1,000 times to people. I'll die for this. If I have to be that SSP pariah, or whatever you would want to call it, that person that sacrificed for it, man. Look how many candles that I burned. How many fires I lit on the way out. That became millions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
One of my biggest life regrets would not making change, not doing what I came here to do. A lot of these high-level SSP people, they're literally telling me behind the scenes to not talk about certain things. And they're saying that talking about certain subjects during my presentations is why most of mainstream producers won't have me at their conferences. And they only want to talk about this love and light and Ashtar command crap. And they don't want to talk about what's really going on. Everybody's saying the Draconians left. First of all, the Draconians never left. They've been here longer than humans, and they own this planet. And they're probably not going to give it up, even with the 1,000 years of light that's coming, which is a joke, in my opinion, because I just talked about this in the conference. I said, a Draconian general life, an alpha, you can live 500,000 years to 1,000,000 years for your just a lifespan. Human has 70 years. So 1,000 years of light or peace of non-war is like less than a week for a Draconian. So like to go through billions of years of warring since Lyra, the Orion Wars, the Pyramid Wars, the Maldek Wars, the Martian Wars, it's never ended. And all we're going to get is a 1,000-year peace treaty? Like, come on, man. Like, to me, that's really offensive. It's just like we should sacrifice billions upon trillions of beings, and let's only freeze time and have peace for the lifespan of a gnat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I agree 100%. Yeah.
It just sucks, man. Like, I understand in context to the lifespan of a human, and like, but like the soul knows how important that is, because 1,000 years is nothing in contrast to non-linear existence. Like, we are eternal beings that never die. So like 1,000 years is nothing, you know, even that 70 years, it's nothing. It's but a speck or a moment or a snap of the finger. And that's our lifespan. We're done. So like I'm saying, I'm connecting that to, I need to get this all out now while I'm young, while I can travel and do all these things, because this is the moment. The time is now. Everybody needs to stop being freaking lazy and stop fearing it and just do it, man. Be the change you want to see. If you can view my life 1,000 years from now or 1,000,000 years from now, you're going to see I'm not weak. I did what I had to do to get this out, regardless of retaliation or being scared for it. Like, I have zero fear.
Yeah, and one of the big things is like actually proven that the SSP is actually real, because like, let's be honest, there's some people in our community, not in the SSP community, but like I would say, like, you know, I cover a lot of different stuff on my channel. You know what I mean? I cover the soul trap. I cover all different kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? And like, I have some people that come on that believe in flat Earth, or they believe that like space isn't real. Like, so there's a portion of our community, or you know, like this alternative media community that believes that space isn't real. So I feel like it's our duty to prove that like the SSP is absolutely real. That like, you know, something is definitely going on. And that people need to see this, because it's part of a huge lie that we've been privy to, you know, our whole existence, and all of our parents' existence and all their parents' existence. And it's just been like this snowballing lie that continues to perpetuate, you know, so the controllers can control us. And I don't know. I'll let you take it from there.
I mean, it's very simple. They figured out that they marketed it like the Star Trek series, where basically you have this Starfleet, and anytime they come across a planet that doesn't have extrasolar travel or a way to leave their own planet with propulsion or zero-point energy of some kind, you're not allowed to show up in their airspace, because that they can view you as gods. So they've convinced us that we're the people, we're the analogy of the next gen, or of the Star Trek analogy. We're the ones that have been convinced that we're just a single planet in the ocean of the cosmos that is the only one that has life on it. Why would God or Source create so many planets and timelines and existences that doesn't even have a number? Because even ChatGTP would refuse to tell you that number, because it's determining it would take too much processing power just to fulfill your you know what I'm saying, your query.
Yeah.
So you just have to understand, man, we're not alone. Everybody's like, it's a secret space program. I'm like, we just call it the space program, man. We've had the space program since before Lyra. Like, when the Draconians invaded, I was there at the beginning, at the very remote view my position. I don't like to tell people what my position was, but let's just say that Yemi Janae was there, the Farsight Institute, at the very top, and I was there with her as a protector. You can remote view that. And when the Draconians came, they basically came from another universe. They were not supposed to be here. We were the only living beings in our universe. The Lyrans were. Spread through Lyra with all of our planets. And then out of nowhere they came, and it's been space programs since then, because we had to leave our own planets. So that means we already had the ability to leave and colonize other planets. So like, We've been doing this for billions of years. Everybody wants to think that this is real or it's not real. It's literally naive to think that none of it's real. You know, when the Illuminati has the revelation of the method. They have to tell you the truth through media, through acting, through movies, through television shows. They tell you the secret to your face. And sci-fi is science fact. That is their roles and their nomenclature. So if you don't accept that as reality and only take it as fiction, then that's on you. That's your bad. The Illuminati, they call people like that sheeple, the programmed masses, and they're allowed to do it karmically because it's our job to awaken to this programming, this symbolism, these overlays, the matrix over a matrix system like they're doing now. Like they put a matrix over another matrix. Like nothing is actually physical. We only live the illusion of being physical. That's proved through physics and quantum mechanics. The double slit theory and how it takes consciousness to observe, to create matter, to leave a waveform, you know? But like it's more magnificent than you can imagine what we truly are, man. And until we awaken to our potential and who we are, we're always going to be slaves. We're always going to be pimped out to another colony, to another planet, into situations you can't even describe. Like what I'm remembering right now, it is not good, man. Like there are no words, because outside of this planet, there's not a lot of laws. So how can you prosecute somebody unless you're overseen by Galactic Federation of Worlds or a federation of some kind? But even the GFOL of Worlds, not of Light. Galactic Federation of Light's a joke. It's a psyop. Galactic Federation of Worlds is real. That's like the Federation of Star Trek. But they also allow planets to be doomed to explode, and they also kill a lot of people. So it's like they're not the good guys. They're both the bad guys and the good guys. So that's the world we live in, and we're going to always live in that. Because like all the peace treaties we've had over all the centuries and eons and millions of years and billions of years, these regressive ET species always break the freaking agreements and contracts.
Yeah. And I wanted to kind of get into like the schematics of the SSP, like for people that might be new that are watching this. Like I heard in your presentation, you said everything starts off with the Monarch Corporation. Then you have your Kruger, your Dark Fleet, your Knock. Oh, my headphones almost came out. Your Knockoff and Solar Warden, all that stuff. And you've been kind of privy to be a part of like almost all of them. And this was verified by the ACIO. Like, can you talk a little bit about the structure of command and the SSP and a little bit like how these organizations are interacting with one another and stuff like that?
Yeah, so there's a group. Yeah, there's a group called Allied Space Command, and they basically oversee cross-faction rotation of assets between the Monarch Corporation, Kruger, Knockoff, and YNK, Space Force, Earth Defense Force, Mars Defense Force, JDFC. I can keep going on and on and on.
That's amazing.
And what happened to me when I was a kid, I was trained and programmed for cross-faction rotation. Started out with the Monarch Corporation. It was at the Monarch Dome in Toronto, and I had broke programming so many times and acted out so many times with them trying to control my actual powers that they created themselves, that I was put in a group called Merge, which is the Monarch Umbrella Refugee Group. And Julia Anchorhaven is... Oh, hey, freaking John, what's up, homie? He was
John Whitberg.
John Whitberg was my commander in Project Phoenix under Kyle Delshow, under my alter Yoshiro Surabaya. John, we were just talking about your book earlier with Julia Anchorhaven about her being on book 3. So everybody needs to go check out John's books. You can find it on YouTube under Do You Hear the People Sing YouTube account. And you can listen to all of his audio books for free. You can read all of his books for free. He doesn't even charge for these books. He believes that information should be free, especially when it comes about disclosure in the SSP. So thank you, John, for all the work you've done. You've worked so hard all these years, man. And like, it's an honor to be part of your story and have you talk about me so much in those books, man. It's very humbling. So I thank you for that.
Yeah, I want to give John a shout out too. I'm a big fan of his work. I read the first book, The Man with the Periwinkle Eyes, and it's an amazing book. And I always enjoy having John on my show. I had him on with Ash recently. Well, we did it on Rumble, You know what I mean? Because they're starting to kind of censor. This is another thing. They're starting to censor SSP content, or or it seems like SSP, MILAB stuff. You know what I mean? So to me, that says that there's something to it. You know what I mean? But they never
wouldn't censor something that they didn't want to cover up, because it would be treated like flat Earth kind of stuff. You don't censor a lot of flat Earth. That's why there's so much flat Earth. So just like you just said, why would they censor something if it wasn't legit?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I agree. Yeah. And what about the Monarch Corporation? Like, who are they? Like,
the Monarch Corporation goes back minimum 6,000 years, and it goes all the way back to Atlantis. The whole Project Ibis that's connected to the Montauk Project. I was there at Montauk Project through Project Phoenix, and I got to oversee some of these Ibis kids, like Arkeem Ra, John Whitberg. They are literally ex-gods of Egypt. And that's what Project Ibis was. It was 42 original kids that were tagged as actual Egyptian gods, which were Anunnaki. And this is why each of the Project Ibis kids has an Anunnaki handler. Like they would see a Thoth overlay or Marduk overlay. Like Arkeem had Marduk, and Marduk would just traumatize Arkeem over and over, just timeline after timeline, jump after jump, lifetime after lifetime. You know what I'm saying? And John Whitberg was Sobek, which was the alligator god. So they basically took these attributes and these powers of these original kids, these reincarnations, and they weaponized it for Project Ibis. And they turned it into like time travel through like Operation Looking Glass, and like putting us through jump gates at Montauk Project, at Camp Hero Air Force Base. And then after that base was shut down, John and I and his two sons were sent to Cheyenne Mountain Complex under Project Aegis. And we continued the same stuff. I was still operating the gates, and I was still operating the armory as Yoshio Surabaya. That's what I did at Camp Hero. And then I went there and I did the same thing, took it over again.
Yeah.
And that's what it's been. It's just been like, it's been such a wild ride, man. And like, to people that think that this is not real, man, God bless you to not know the horrors of what really exists in the cosmos, man. Like, if I could ever choose to turn off my memories, I would, because the moment I wake up, I think, was I abducted last night? And all day long, I think about SSP till the moment I go to bed, till the moment I get my 1 hour to 2 hours of sleep daily, where they give me a program memory, a program dream of the same dream every night in all these different scenarios. So imagine, like, you can't even escape in sleep, and you can't escape in death either.
Yeah. Do you think the SSP is acting on our physical timeline plus alternate timelines as well, and jump timelines and stuff like that?
They're operating in all timelines.
Yeah.
You have to understand, even the ones that didn't have time travel in the SSP, we went there. We inserted ourselves. We even changed their timelines and their history for the SSP's benefit. Like, a lot of these people were doing operations. Some were doing it under high command orders. And some people were doing it because they were in positions at certain deep underground military bases, these DUMBs, where they went out of control. And it was people like me that are sent in. A group of us, we became asset hunters. And this is where I earned my Red Wolf patch. You can see my Red Wolf head on my exoskeletal armor. And that literally means we're asset hunters. So we literally hunt the worst of the worst. The ones that are acting out of their programming, destabilizing timelines, hurting people. I've had to terminate my own clones because my own clones were weaponized and put in really bad programs. And some of them are caught in memory loops where they're reliving trauma over and over and over and over, and it never ends. Like, one thing that's not talked about is John talks about something called the soul bite that Arasaka Robotics produces. Nachtwaffen uses something completely different we call the NCC, and it's basically a different technology that does the same thing. And what it does is it piggybacks off something called a VACAR, and that's called a Vector Anchor Kinetic Avatar Relay. So whenever our physical meat dies in a clone body or in an asset body, the soul bite or the NCC releases the soul and homes it to the VACAR, which is the Vector Anchor Kinetic Avatar Relay. And it's basically a soul holding vault. It can be on ship. It can be in a dome. It can be at a deep space buoy like the Saturn relay between Mars and Jupiter. Or I'm sorry, after Jupiter. And it basically rehomes souls. And I was talking about, you had mentioned death traps earlier. Everybody's just kind of focusing on the Earth death trap, and they don't realize that they have death traps on all the planets. They have deep space buoy traps. So when an asset dies in theater, if our ship got blown up that had our Vicar system on it, our basic soul vault, it has to rehome somewhere. If we're with Kruger, it rehomes to Arasaka. And it's like a soul vault. It's a backup. You can deploy directly back into a clone, or they put you in stasis, which is basically your consciousness is floating in darkness, but there's no physical sensations, and it's just you existing and with no linear time of any kind. So imagine being stuck where in what you would perceive as 6 years between deployments. It is literally insanity, man, because like a lot of the times, a lot of these assets don't have a legacy clone. A legacy clone is a standard issue body. Like if they wanted to abduct Drago's physical body, and they wanted to put it into a dome and then use that body forever, they would need to put a legacy clone in replacement. So they would do that same thing as a child. Everybody talks about these 20 and backs and they were age regressed. A lot of these assets don't know that another part of the standard practice is we put a legacy clone in your place. It's not just they abducted you and they inserted you within minutes of you being abducted. No, that is a big lie they tell a lot of us, because it's not true every time. They'll abduct your physical body and put a clone of you as the same age, and your clone body goes to school. That's why a lot of us don't have our memories from our young childhood, because a lot of those experiences were not our own. And the soul rejected it in a way to compartmentalize it. So that's happening a lot too. And it's not just 20 and backs and 60 and backs and age regression. They're replacing a lot of the clones, a lot of assets that are here listening to this transmission right now that exist even on Earth. A lot of them are clones. They are not the original. They've been programmed to think they are the core, the host, but they're not. And then a lot of those clone bodies are replaced every 8 years. They have about an 8-year shelf life. So you're going to notice it takes almost 10 years with some of these SSP assets before they even age. And it's just like some of these people, they look like they're not aging at all, because they're getting these upgraded clone bodies. They call it cycles. You get them in cycles, because a lot of these clones, you don't want to give them a long shelf life. You don't want to make it where some of these clones have 100-year shelf life, like some of these Arasaka chassis. Because our clone bodies, a lot of them, we just refer to them as a chassis. You have augmented chassis. You have stock chassis. You have crazy augmented ones that look like bad guys from the movie Alita Battle Angel. You know what I'm saying? It's like Kruger they augment that much. Like it is like the freaking Borg on crack. So just the things they do to people, it's beyond, man.
Yeah, this is a comment from Kelly. She says, yep, no memories from birth till I was like 11 or 12, and a few after that until like 18 or 20. So maybe she was used. I wanted to ask you something that I thought was really interesting. When you talked about that, when you were young, you thought you were being abducted by aliens or grays, but you then found out it was the military. Do you feel like that happened to a lot of people? And do you feel like there were real alien abductions, or do you think a lot of the times it was military? Or is it hard to say?
It varies each time, believe it or not. Like, you have to realize some ET groups are abducting their own people, and it's not just grays. It's a lot of us got stuck here from the death trap. We came to awaken people, and a lot of times when we come here, our entire light body is like electromagnetically zapped with like 1 billion volts of electricity, if you can imagine. It's like MK Ultra, where they give you electroshock, and then they stick a freaking steel thing right in your fucking eye socket, and they just mush it around the prefrontal cortex to make you forget everything. And that's what's happening to a lot of people. I'm doing so many sessions, like Kelly's session. I did a QHHT session on her for 5 hours. She's very important, and she's just not a regular person. and I will only tell her story if she gives me permission to tell her story. But Kelly is not a spectator in this venue of the SSP, like from behind the scenes, and that's all I'm going to say for that. But what we've seen is with all these regressive hypnosis memory regressions, we're finding out that a lot of these people that were taken by extraterrestrials, it was cover for military abductions. And it's been the military abducting them, and they will have these memories of like mutilations or augmentations or surgeries, and it was basically our own people. It was our own American government doing it to us. Or if you live in another country, it was your own local people, your own local government's doing it, man. But like America specifically, we operate all around the world. So American people in the dumbs is a very common thing you see in a lot of these dumbs around the planet. Even outside Earth, you see humans everywhere.
Yeah. Michelle wanted me to ask you about Project Aries. Do you know anything about a Project Aries?
It doesn't make it. I don't have any recollection of it.
Yeah, I don't. Okay, I don't. Yeah. And then when I was going to ask you, and when you were in Kruger and Nachtwaffen and stuff, are the operators strictly German, or are there like off-world entities as well, like aliens or like hybridized personnel or enhanced soldiers with like AI integration or anything like that?
All the above, but it depends what factions you are. Like Draconians are using a lot of Nachtwaffen stuff. Arasaka, the Japanese, they use a lot of hybridization and augmentation, like a lot of machinery, like cyborgs, kind of stuff like John Whitberg's book, The Man with Periwinkle Eyes. He's basically an android cyborg that has it's part human and part machine, and his chassis is designed for combat. And he has hidden in augmentations in his body that require him to actually have to cut into his body to access his technology to use it. So it depends on it depends how your chassis is retrofitted. It depends, again, what faction's building it. It depends what it's rated at and what class that chassis is. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so
that makes sense.
So you have everything and to the max and to ways you can't even imagine.
Oh, that's interesting. It's so interesting. And then one thing I was going to ask you, you talk about Kruger missions. Like, did the Kruger Intel network interface with like Earth-based intelligence, like NSA, MI6, or CIA, from what you can remember? Or how much I guess where I'm going with that is how much do our Earth-based networks really know? Like, how much do you think the CIA knows? How much do you think they're privy into, like, what's actually going on?
Okay, so I would say most of the CIA does not know about it, and it's only the deep state black level security clearances that know the truth, because like you have to imagine like the head of the CIA, the director, or like the director of the FBI, they have a 4-year shelf life. You're not going to give them the presidential book of secrets for a guy that might have a shelf life of 4 years before he's replaced by another puppet. You understand? So like there's long term. I think they're called SAS. It's like a corporate protection that some of these assets have in these programs, where they are placed corporation after corporation. If they're prosecuted for a crime or they're ever outed, they have to leave their position. They're put in another high level position. It's something executive services, and all of them are part of it. It's kind of like every president has to either be a Freemason or a Jesuit. It's actually required to be an American president. So if you think one guy's not a Freemason, he's definitely a Jesuit, and you can follow that breadcrumb, and it always leads back to either groups, which is like the same group. It's kind of like the left and the right, they're all still related. They're all cousins, you know?
Yeah.
Like the presidents.
Yeah. And then some people say that Kruger was both a security and assassination wing. Did you believe that? Do you think that Kruger was one of the operations was to eliminate assets or retrieve defectors from other factions like Monarch or Umbrella or anything like that?
Yeah, they were there when they rescued me at age 9. I wasn't rescued at age 9. I was emerged from age 9 to age 15. They were there. I had caused a breach. I'm not going to go into that breach. I only talk about it in my presentations. But I caused a breach for something they sent me to do, and my reaction caused this breach of this Monarch dome, and the whole dome was locked down, and it caused Kruger and ACIO to come expel us out. And after that, I was placed directly into Nachtwaffen. And Brian Singh was there too. He's one of the original Merge kids. So the guy that runs the Full Disclosure Now conference, he is legit Merge from Monarch. And this is why a lot of us, we have these big roles in the SSP, and we're all talking about it. You have Brian starting this potentially huge conference that's going to disseminate all this information and pull these people that no other conferences can do.
Yeah, I agree.
And like, we're doing this because we were the rebels. If you're in Merge, you're a badass. That means you have powers. That's more than likely it classifies you as an Omega level mutant. Omega levels, they're the worst and the worst and the best of the best, meaning that an Omega level mutant is like Jean Grey or Professor X, someone who has a power, or Magneto, someone who has a power that can change the fabric of time and reality and do things that most people can't do. A lot of us were tagged as these Omega class variants, and we had to go through all this mind control and brainwashing, and we had to lose all of our memories. And when we was at Merge, it was the Red Queen. Red Queen is the name of the AI system at Monarch. The entire Resident movie franchise was built off a moment that happened at the Monarch Dome during a shutdown, and how Red Queen actually responded. But Red Queen was in charge of allocating who our next target would be. They would literally, originally we were asset killers. They would tell us we're going to kill bad guys, but it turns out we killed a lot of good guys because they convinced us they were bad guys. The file said they were bad. It showed evidence that they were bad. And a lot of us started figuring out that they were lying to us. And it got to the point where we started killing our handlers. And that's known through the ACIO. They put that under Merge. If you just Google acio-official.org and Merge, M-U-R-G, it shows that a lot of us broke out from our programming. A lot of us do not have our shit together. Like, I'm one of very few people in Merge that has not had psychological breakdowns, that does not suffer from alters popping in and out, none of that stuff. And that is not common at all, man. I do not lose time. I never lose time. Like, if I'm about to go to pass out from fatigue, because I'm only sleeping 1 to 2 hours a day, and it hits me on a regular basis where I feel like I'm going to pass out. But we were trained and programmed to not pass out. I know the technique where I'm about to pass out, and I remain still. I breathe a certain way. I let the wave come up, because it always comes up to your head. And you basically neutralize the wave and send it back. And you can do this. You could run for days. You can be part of SEER, where you're trying to survive for a solid week with no food, no shelter, and nothing but rain and cold and like. It's a lot, man. It's a lot.
I can imagine.
We were trained in this since we were kids. They were training children how to do this. So they train kids how to kill people.
Wow. This is from Bin Charge. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just saying, this is why we kind of broke out and killed our handlers. And even John Whitberg, he's one of his books, I think it's book 3 in the beginning or the end of book 2, where he says, when I'm at Montauk, and it was the day that Montauk was shut down. And the scene starts out, he's walking up to me as Yoshiro, and I'm peeing on 4 people I just killed. And these were like 4 of the worst pedophiles at Camp Hero. And he's coming up, and I'm casually just pissing on one of their faces, man. And like, what they did to kids there, man, they don't deserve a quick death. They deserve things that I can't even talk about because it'll get flagged on YouTube. But let's just say we should go the movie Law Abiding Citizen on their ass.
Yeah.
I'll just keep it at that.
I love that. Yeah. That's about, And that's a big part of the going back to the galactic slave trade is children, unfortunately, right? It seems to be a big thing because of the achrome and whatever else. Is that true?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things they use because it's considered a narcotic to these ET groups and these human elite groups. It's literally a narcotic, and it has stem cells in it. So basically, it can extend your life. Like, remember in the Indian traditions where an American Indian, they'll introduce their child to their first kill. They'll take down like a cougar or some kind of animal or a boar. And then the Indian will walk up, have a wooden cup and scoop up the blood, and they ask the son to drink it. they say you're going to feel powerful. You're consuming this animal's spirit, and it makes you a powerful hunter. They were only just basically getting high on A, and the adrenaline that was coursing through the blood. And they interpreted that as spiritual gifts and spiritual power. And that's how these ET and elite groups see it. They think we're just a food source. Like, they don't even see us as equal to them, because we are not them, because our genome and our DNA says we are not like them. That's why they say, I don't want to use certain words that certain countries use, but basically it's tantamount to that we don't have rights because we're not seen as humans. And there's a word used to throw us, if you're not a pureblood, then you're this. And they don't see us as human. They see us as genetically edited with animals. Like, a lot of people don't know that they've been talking about this since Atlantis, that certain religions, they don't consume pig because pigs are half human. They are a hybrid between boars and humans. Domesticated pigs did not exist until not too long ago, if you think about on the chain of timelines. And they said, even the Muslim religions, they say it's unclean. It's unclean because it's half human. If you trace the DNA, they have a ton of our DNA in common. And I'm not saying the same amount of DNA that's common to a banana, like someone likes to joke about. This is why we can use their arteries and their hearts and their skin for burn implants, because literally they have human DNA. So when you look into the eyes of a pig, it looks human-like, because it is part freaking human. But according to the purebloods, they would see that as trash, non-human, because it's not full what they consider godlyhood. They're all elites. Anything that's below the elites, we don't have rights. We'll always be a food source. We'll always be a source of revenue or taxation or using throughout the cosmos. We'll always be slaves. Like, think about this. It's been billions of years, hundreds of billions of years. We've been warring for this. Everybody's like, we're about to win. We're popping in a 5D timeline. Sure, there are timelines that exist where the war ended. But not everybody's going there, man. Everybody has to go to other dimensions. Everybody's playing a different video game. Every video game, you go to a new system and it goes up in resolution. So you go from Nintendo to Super Nintendo. But through Nintendo, you got to play all the games. You got to beat all the levels and play all the games before you go to the next density, which is the higher resolution system. You keep going up and up and up in resolution to the point where you realize you don't even need a physical body because it slows you down. And you just resort back to consciousness. So if you know that as a truth, it'll change your life. You got to see that this is all a hologram. It's all a video game. And you kind of either chose this avatar or you're in the programs and your avatar was created for you by hybridization and the use of chimera augmentation. Like, a lot of us are chimeras from the programs. And that's why we have all these abilities and we can affect people and we're really psychic and we can remote view because we were taught how to do this in the programs.
I was just going to ask you about that. I was going to ask you two questions. Like, did you have a lot of psychic remote viewers in the programs, and then were you able to tie together your network like up there with like people you met down here? Like, have you been able to, like, I know you talk about like Brian Singh and Julia Ankerhaven and John Whitberg, but have you been able to like piece together a larger network of people that have been connected to the programs? You know what I mean?
I've assembled a pretty large team of original experiencers where we all remember each other. I'm not talking about the people that they say they're in. There's people listening right now, and you might know who you are. You don't have original memories. All you do is rely on remote viewings and psychics, and you need to stop. Because when I listen to your interviews, it sounds like you are saying this is truth. When I just watched you in the previous interviews, you said you got it from a psychic. So you need to watch what you say and how you say it, because the remote viewers in the world, man, they know who are frauds and who are not frauds. They know who people who have memories and people who don't. So you have to understand, you're dealing with children that were weaponized that can see into your mind or put stuff in your mind if they wanted to, or psionically terminate you, just like they can do me. If I didn't have psionic protection up 24 hours a day, I can get terminated. They already tried. They tried in 2022, and like it backfired, because that was my protocols that I was taught while I was in Project Mirrorlink. my protocols activated, and it basically did a return to sender, and it caused that person to have cardiac arrest and died. This is the real reality. Like, you're dealing with people that are in classified programs, and like a lot of us are combat active. We're not in this single 20 and back, and we get to tell this story where we're free now. Man, most of you SSP assets, you are not free. Most of you just don't have your memories of you been taken all the time. They take me pretty much almost every day. The remote viewers see it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I tell people they can remote view my SSP stuff. I don't care. That's what I'm here to do, man. Like, I'm here to show people this is real stuff, you know? And you were talking about this group. I have basically a super group of psychics and remote viewers and psionic people. And we've put some stuff in motion behind the scenes. Especially like in the event of my termination or assassination, there's things that will start happening to the SSP that they cannot stop. I don't care how many time control or time travel missions you do, or TOs. We call them TOs in the programs, time insertion operations. It doesn't matter how many you do, because the chain of events they're going to set by attempting that, it'll get out of control.
So you're saying you have a dead man
effects now?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was just gonna say you have like a dead man switch, kind of.
Yeah, that's why I'm not afraid to die. Because if they do, upon my death, I knew I really hit them harder than they ever hit me.
Hell yeah, man. Hell yeah. This is Andromeda asks, has anybody checked on James? I haven't heard anything about James. Like, I know someone said he was in congestive heart failure, and I'm sending my best out to James Rink. Like, you know, I hope he's okay. You know,
yeah.
Have you heard anything?
Yeah. There was some remote viewing done on James where we found out that he's been getting hitted with DEs, directed energy weapons, and they've been targeting his heart, and they're trying to kill him.
Wow. Holy shit, man. Hopefully,
yeah, James, I mean, like when I saw James, man, I'm like, oh my God, dude, they are hitting this guy so freaking hard, and I don't know what the end of it is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm gonna reach out to him. You know, is he still in the hospital, or is he? What's going on?
He's in and out of the hospital.
Wow, I hope he's okay.
I mean, only that story would be for James to tell, you know.
Yeah. I'm gonna reach out to him. And guys, someone in the audience asked if we're asking questions. I asked Drago a lot of questions, like, and I have more, but you guys can ask your questions too. You know, so if you have a good question, put it in the chat, and we'll get to it. And we always do that, you know. So yeah, and you guys always have amazing questions. So I was gonna move on to like Monarch Corporation and mind control architecture. Like Monarch programming often overlaps MK Ultra. From your regressions and personal recall, was Monarch's true purpose within the SSP infrastructure, would you say?
Monarch is MK Ultra. They created MK Ultra. So and yes, they are the universal blueprint that is accepted within cross-faction rotation, where basically the programming techniques were done to such a scientific degree that they learned how to reverse engineer a human and recreate a human like a computer system from the bottom up or from the top down as an operating system. So most of all assets went through Monarch programming or a version of it, because their blueprint and systems is leased out to other factions. So a lot of times it comes right back to Monarch. Because remember, Allied Space Command deals in cross-faction rotation, putting assets in different factions. Like, I can be in a different faction in a different week, depending on what the mission was. So it's not just like I was Kruger first and then I was knocked Waffen. No, almost every dumb I've been at is a shared Air Force base between the Navy and the Air Force. It's actually a joint base every single time. So it's all cross-faction rotation. That's why a lot of us, when we're on moons or we're in DUMs on planets or off planet, we always see Navy personnel and Air Force personnel and all this other stuff, because it's all mixing together. You can't separate it all because there's only so many bases. Like, if you were being stingy and like there was a war between Kruger and Nachtwaffen or something, they wouldn't co-inhabit each other's DUMs, because there's only so many built. So you make deals and treaties, and you license technologies to each other, and you exchange assets in order to have a higher purpose. Maybe it's to conquer more worlds or take over timelines or get access to technologies that you otherwise didn't have. Like Arasaka Robotics, man, the Japanese build some of the most amazing freaking technological advances, period, in the cosmos. You mix that with the Chinese people, holy crap. Like, if Nachtwaffen didn't buy from the Asian factions, we wouldn't have so many leaps and bounds in Nachtwaffen. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like if the Germans never partnered with the Draconians, where would they be now? Because they were giving lease over Lunar Operation Command. You know, they were given this time that they can inhabit, but it was only a lease. It's all owned by the Draconians. So like, it's all lease based, it's all tax based, and part of the agreement is you have to exchange so many humans or DNA alter packages in order for these leases as part of the agreements. Like, you don't need just a physical body. You can sell a gram of DNA and an alter from some human that was created, and that gram of DNA can be replicated or reskinned in a cloning tank and grown within a day, depending on how your reskin's made. Like, no one's talking about reskinning. Like, these are the terminologies I talk about in my presentations, and a lot of people don't know about them because no one's talking about it. And if you are, I would have heard about it, you know. So again, it's what is your class? What is your security clearance rating? You know what I'm saying? Because in Nachtwaffen, I run a special access program fleet called Spectre Wing. I run my own fleet, and I have multiple fleet ships between programs. Like, I have a ship called the Guardian, which in German we just call it Der Hüter, which is the Guardian. And you can only operate, and the Guardian's an ancient ship. You can only operate the Guardian if you have a Guardian class soul. Guardian class soul, you have to earn going up the dimensions all the way to the top before you send your consciousness back down. It's not something you're incarnated into position-wise. Like, I have an architect / Guardian class soul. The remote viewing says it. My ACIO files say it. All my hypnosis sessions say it. I literally remember it. And that's why I was there at the beginning of Lyra, and why I had such a high position in Lyra when the Draconians came, you know?
Yeah, this is a really good question. I'll explain. So Jenny B wants to know what your thoughts are on Mall World. So here's what this is. So a lot of people are having these dreams, right? And when they dream, they're going to this endless mall. And
I am there I am freaking there every night.
Check this out. You know what I did?
Freaking variations.
I checked this out. I tied it to what James Bartley said, because I remember James Bartley told me that a lot of MILABs would be taken to like mall scenarios, and they would see reptilians there. And I've heard alien abduction stories where people got abducted by aliens, and they would see grays and reptilians, and they would be at the mall. So I tied it to that as well when I did my show, and I did live call-ins. I took live calls from people. But like, I just went. So you're there. That just kind of wanted to tell you where I was at with it. But it seems like it's something like a holographic projection, or what do you think it is? Like,
it's two different scenarios. It's physically either happening in the 3D, in the here and now, at a mall. It can be above ground mall, or it's a mall located in a dome to make it look like it's actually top ground, but it's not. And they run live scenarios through it. They run targeting scenarios, abduction scenarios, all these scenarios. So it's both physical and non-physical. The ones that's happening in the dreams, where it's basically replaying the same dream with 1,000 variations, and it changes every single night, but you're always pretty much at the same place or within buildings away of a location, and it's all connected. Those are cover dreams. That means more than likely you are taken at that moment and you're giving a cover dream of that mall scenario. It's always, it could be like, it also connects to a high-rise hotel, this mall scenario. It's not just a mall. It's also a mega hotel. And sometimes there's water parks directly attached to it and huge freaking parking lots. So a lot of people don't talk about that either. But just the high-rise hotel version where you're going up and down elevators and shit. And sometimes you're being pursued. Sometimes you're going somewhere. Sometimes you go to a theater. And you're walking into a theater and there's people sitting, waiting, or there's no one in the theater at all. But a lot of it's cover memories, because you're literally being taken, and that's what they want you to remember. It is repeating itself over and over every day. That's a cover dream. They give me cover dreams every single day, 7 days a week.
And you found yourself at this mall scenario as well at times? You said every
I'm
night?
there almost every single night.
Wow.
I've been talking about that for years. It's the same cover dream.
Wow. That's
It's
insane.
like playing a video game, but you're playing an online streaming version, and it doesn't start the same way every time you enter the level. You always enter the level or the dream at a different level in a different position, and you're always doing something. You're all in the middle of something. You're always going somewhere every single time. It's like being thrown in time, but you don't have any context of what you're doing, but you know the people that are there because you're having conversations with people there. Sometimes there's sexual interests. Sometimes it's unresolved things that happened to you in your past, and they're there out of nowhere. You're like, wow, I consciously know in my dream that this is weird and it's not natural. If you can start waking up to those elements and saying, holy crap, this isn't normal, this would never happen. You start realizing that you could wake up in the dream and you start touching stuff, and then it doesn't have texture. Your five senses, it doesn't engage your five senses like real dreams do. Real experiences, they have the senses. You feel the emotions, you can smell everything. When you're in a cover dream, a lot of times it's devoid of these situations. Or like if you look in a mirror and there's a mirror to your left, in that dream you would have no reflection. So you have to start waking up. This is a cover dream. The door in front of you, put your hand on the actual doorknob and see if it even turns. You'll realize that the doorknob doesn't even turn. It won't open. It's an illusion. And then at that point, you can hack and start waking up. There's been points in my life where I woke up in those dreams, and then the dreams went away for months.
Wow.
Because I came to the realization that I was waking up inside the cover dream, and it was becoming artificial to me where I expected it. All right, I wonder what I'm going to do in the mall hotel tonight. You know?
Yeah.
And then the moment I wake up, I'm like, I just came out of the hospital room that's in that mall or that hotel. It's a medical area also, conveniently. It's like an all-in-one inclusive mall. It's not just clothing and shit for sale. It's like different departments of things. It's crazy.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to tell you, because I know you're a regressionist, and I wanted to get your opinion on this. I don't know if I ever told you this. I might have, but I have these dreams where they come in segments, and it seems like I'll be in these dreams for like months at a time. But like it'll be like one segment, and then I'll have another dream that's another segment, and it feels like I'm actually living there for like months at a time. And then I wake up and it's only been like 5 hours. You know what I mean? But like it really feels like I'm gone. Yeah, sorry.
I've seen with the hypnosis sessions that people are really being taken for that amount of time. And then they're coming back, being reinserted, thinking it was a dream. I've had people taken for years. And they said when they woke up from that dream, they could not escape it. It was the most realistic thing they ever had. They have the past memories from the previous 4 years that they experienced. They remember everybody's name. They remembered how they went places. That is not a dream. That you were taken. Then you were reinserted, because that is not normal. And almost every single person I've ever done a session on, we confirmed they were literally taken.
Wow. That's insane. And then Miss Loisel wants to ask, and we kind of already talked about this, but like she wants to know, is it alien life running all these programs? Like, do you think, we know it's the off-world Germans who run Kruger and Knockwaffen, but do you believe the reptilians are above them in that sense?
The Germans don't run. You said Kruger. I thought you said Arasaka. My bad. Yeah, Kruger and Knockwaffen are both breakaway German groups, yes. And then what was your question?
Are the aliens actually running them, or are they on even keel with the aliens? Like
the highest puppeteers are extraterrestrial. All the people that are in positions like the elites, a lot of them are hybrids. They're part Anunnaki and part Draconian by blood. And you have to have this blue blood. That's the mark of the Anunnaki. That's the elite blood. That's why they call it the blue blood. And like, again, all presidents but one, it was Dutch President Martin van Buren. He didn't have the original Rh negative Anunnaki blood that connects to the Orsini family, which is the Rockefeller and Rothschild family. And the Orsini family goes all the way to the Egyptian pharaohs, and the Egyptian pharaohs goes all the way back to the Anunnaki. So it is quite literally extraterrestrials controlling the hybrid humans that control the non-hybrid humans, which you call the slaves, because only the hybrids are the elites. If you have just Homo sapiens sapiens genetics, then you're considered a slave.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, wow. This is from Chief Mustache. He says, do you prefer one SSP group over another? Like, do you? I guess I'll phrase it a different way. Do you prefer working with one or the other? Do you just not like any of it?
This is why I broke free from a lot of the SSPs and I started running my own fleet. Literally, completely broke away without a boss to report to, which means I have no fleet admiral. Even Admiral Emmerman, I got to a point where part of my clones and my conscious are running different fleets that operate above the purview of Nachtwaffen or Kruger, because what I'm doing, I have an Architect Guardian class soul. That means I am very hard to program because I contain the original blueprint of these codes for these matrices. Like, what an architect does is help create these matrix illusions, these holograms, creates the planets and the types of physics, the temperatures that's going to be in these experiments. Is basically like a sim creator. And that's from my highest self before I went down in dimensions. I had to start from the beginning and literally first, second, third, fourth, fifth, go all the way up. I earned that Architect Guardian class soul. So when I was talking about Dehuta, which is the guardianship, when I walked near the Guardian, she lit up for the first time. They couldn't even get hybrids to activate that ship, because if you attempt to access the Guardian without permission, she will sonically obliterate you, man. They tried. People would be liquefied approaching the Guardian. And when I first saw her, she literally lit up. And I was given command of the Guardian.
Is the Guardian the AI, or is that the Red Dragon, would you say? Or is the Guardian
the Guardian is a physical ship. It's an ancient ship. We have modern SSP, then we have ancient ships. The Guardian would be an ancient ship. And in the Guardian, I run completely separate from Nachtwaffen and any other faction. I am my literal own faction. And it's called Spectre Wing, and my call sign is Spectre. I am Spectre Prime. So anybody having the designation of Spectre in like Navy SEAL Black Ops, that all derives from the Spectre program. And I'm running it. Numerous commanders know who I am and remember me. Numerous assets. That's why when you come to my talks, my command level syntax and my voice, it wakes you up, because my voice is programmed for assets. You listen to me when I talk because I typically am your commander. And I got to a certain level where my syntax is understood in the DNA. It can make cellular changes. I can activate your DNA to an alter where you switch into a completely different person. You have genetic changes happening instantaneously. So a side effect of listening to me talk, it's not just at my presentations. People listening to this now, there's not a single time that I don't do a talk or interview where people don't say they woke up and got memory downloads or alters started coming in, and like, there's not a single time.
Maybe that's your mission, to activate, one of your missions, to activate people. You know?
Well, when I started going rogue again, that started at age 15. I started waking up too much, and they had me doing these missions that violated my morality, and it got to the point they invested so much money in me and my bodies, my clone bodies, my echo chain, that it wasn't conducive to eliminate me. But another faction tried. Monarch didn't try to kill me. A faction called Reaper tried to kill me, and that's REPR. They are some bad MFers, man. You do not mess with Reaper.
Now, who are they?
Reaper's not even talked about. They're a clandestine Black Ops group that is not even discussed. I try not to talk about them because they can still harm me in my physical here and now body. And Rob, you know, there was a person in my life that's caused me a lot of drama that I've had to go through the last couple of years.
Yeah,
we don't like talking. We will not talk about that person. You've learned to not even mention that name or that person, right?
Yeah, exactly.
She was sent by Reaper.
Wow.
Yeah. And the designation she goes by is the package of the altar for assassination.
Wow. Dude, that's insane.
I wish I can talk about this and name these things, but only us behind the scenes really knows the details of what's really going on and why I've disappeared over the last 2 years, and like why I haven't had why I haven't even done interviews. I haven't had my own podcast in over a year, like me or Laura. It's just there were so many attacks coming in all at once. Dude, I had to walk away. And now I'm just kind of re-emerging from that. I'm ready to finally start my podcast back up again at the beginning of the year. But I needed to focus all my energy and time on these presentations because I realized since I'm doing this 7 days a week, I don't have time to do interviews. I don't have time to interview guests. I just don't have the time, man. I'm working like 120 hours a week between all this. And I have no time for myself. I barely have time for myself. And I still won't stop. I'm trying to do all this while I'm young. So by the time I'm old, I did all the labor and I put the 20,000 hours of effort in to help me propel my life when I'm older. You know what I'm saying? I'm working really hard now. So when I'm older, God forbid something happens to me or something happens to my body, hopefully I set it up for the future where I'm taken care of.
That's a good point, man. That's a really good point. And this is from going back to the mall thing. This is Jenny B. She says, anybody who was a child in the 90s remember being taken to the astral while asleep to an underworld hell roller coaster? Well, what was interesting is somebody asked, is there an amusement park part to these mall scenarios? And I said, I think there absolutely
I said there
is.
You know? Remember, it's like a water park, amusement park kind of thing attached to it. It's like an all-inclusive programming dream.
Yeah. So do you think these are like, I think we like holographic overlays that the aliens make, or do you think it's like government, like V2K, or could it be all the above? Like it
depends what program you're in. You could literally be in a deep underground military base with VR goggles on, with a helmet that's bolted to you that you cannot unbolt. It is electronically locked, and it can only be taken off by an actual handler. Hey girl, how you doing? Mall World.
I would shout out to shout out to the Cryptid Huntress. She covered Mall World first, and then I covered it after her. So I like my friend told me about it. My friend said that it's happening to a lot of people. She said it's happening to a lot of young people. She said a lot of young people are having these visions of this Mall World, and I looked it up on YouTube, and it's a really hot topic. Like a lot of people are talking about Mall World, and I saw Jessica had covered it. So I was like, you know what, I'm going to cover it. So I did a call-in show about it, and people seem to be really interested in it. A lot of people have these, but then that's when I tied into what James Bartley said. He said, about MILABs being taken there, and people seeing reptilians there and stuff like. So it makes me think that there's a way bigger thing going on with that. It's really interesting. But
and a lot of these malls too, they're off-world. They make you think you're on Earth, but you're actually going through these training scenarios and VR overlays while in DUMBs. Like the whole umbrella thing. Like they call us the Monarch Umbrella Refugee Group. That means we're between two groups, between the Umbrella Corporation and the Monarch Corporation. The entire Umbrella Resident Evil series and the Umbrella Academy, that's all Monarch MK Ultra stuff. The whole series is about kids with powers. They basically tortured us to the point where our genetics activated and opened up our star lineage power. That's how they create kids with superpowers. You got to torture that kid and kill them over and over and over and just keep reviving them until they snap and they create alters and that DNA activates. This is why every origin story, every comic book story, every Marvel, DC, it doesn't matter. In the beginning of the origin story, extreme trauma happened to that child. And that moment, it created epigenetic changes in the DNA that activated that power, and then something happened. They could have killed somebody. They could have hurt somebody. It doesn't matter. That they're telling you the truth. And that's why you have to do it to children. You've got to do it before age 10. Because before age 10, their body's not producing the adult hormones yet. And at that point, they're still connected to the astral spirit side. So a lot of these kids, they say they have these imaginary friends. They're not really imaginary. I started doing hypnosis on people and figuring out that these imaginary friends are actually beings. And that's why they want kids to hit puberty faster, and they're using hormones and chemicals in the foods and the water and hitting us environmentally because they want to cut it off as fast as possible. So this is where you're starting to see 6-year-old girls starting to have their periods and stuff now. It is it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Because they cut off that source connection immediately. And once you get hormones and you start bleeding for the first time and you go through hormones, you cut off the magical kingdom. That's it.
What do you mean? Like the imaginary?
Your memories, everything about you that makes you special. You know that as a child, and it's only your parents that tell you you're not special. You don't have these powers. You can't jump off a building and live. Some of these kids can, because they went through this trauma. They went through these epigenetic changes on a cellular level, on a DNA level. That's even quantum level in the quantum world, just going down fractally. They realize it's a hologram. It's a video game. In order to take an avatar in a video game, every avatar that's not a background person will have an ability that is written in their genome for all the genetics they have in that body from the maternal and paternal sides. So depending on what that mix is, like I have a high mix of my Philip side, my father's side is Welsh, and that has a high black sun Swartzasana connection to it. They target that line because it is literally black sun Saturn. And then the Reid side, which is the Scottish side, which is another completely awesome thing you mix with. And then you throw in the Choctaw side of me that from my Choctaw Native American blood.
Oh my God! I got to tell you something. I'm sorry. I mean, you just said something. So, when I interviewed Daryl Sims, the alien hunter, he's not really privy to this SSP stuff, but he would know a lot about alien abduction, and he said a lot of the people that would used to get abducted were for some reason, and I'm not discounting any other races, but he said they were Celtic and Native American, which is
crazy. Why Native American?
No, spiritual or something like that, or
it's a continuation of war that came to this planet. They're the original Lemurians. The Atlanteans are the Anunnaki. They are the bloodlines. They are the elites. They derive from Atlantis. When the Emerald Tablets of Thoth starts out saying, "I am Thoth, king of Atlantis. The Sphinx is basically me. It has my face on it, and my brother Marduk or Amun-Ra chiseled the face off and defaced all the hieroglyphs in Egypt." That was part of the Pyramid Wars, part 1 and part 2. But the Native Americans are the original Lemurians. It's been a war since Atlantis. They've been trying to kill off the Lemurian side of it so the Atlanteans can fully take over, which are the Anunnaki.
Wow. And do you feel like the Anunnaki are still here? Do you think they're like a lot of people?
They've never left, man. All these people that are saying this, why does all the remote viewing show that the Anunnaki are still here?
Yeah.
Why does all the remote viewing show that the Draconians are still here and they never left? Dude, they own the planet.
Yeah.
For them to sell the planet and give it up, they would have to give it up for a price that is extremely steep, because you got to realize each planet hosts all the dimensions in that one planet. So dimension 1, dimension 2, dimension 3, it's all on Earth here. The 5-dimensional Earth everybody's talking about we're going to, it's already here. Your consciousness is just not aligned to it yet. You might already be there thinking you're going to go there when you die, but you're already there because we're all existing in parallel timelines and dimensions. That's what we are as souls. We're not just living Rob, Khalil, and Drago Reid from age birth to whatever we died and then we start over again. We're living the past, present, and future simultaneously in numerous incarnations. I like to tell people when I do past life regression, I like to throw the caveat in and say, there is no such thing as past lives. It's all parallel lives. No matter if it's perceived in the past or the future, they're all happening at the same time. Like, technically, I'm being born right now. Technically, I am dying right now. Technically, I am graduating high school at this moment. And now I just got my heart broken for the first time. It's all happening at the same moment. We're only perceiving it's linear because your consciousness is programmed to see it linearly when it all exists simultaneously. That's why, as an adult, you can do something in your adult life karmically that's going to be the reason why you experienced something as a child when you were young. It could be sexual assault. It could be taking away your identity. It was authorized sometimes because you did something as an adult. So to understand that it's all quantumly entangled, it's like we can fold time with space travel. Like some of my fleets, we just fold time. It's like a piece of paper. You don't have to step through a doorway. You bring space to you and you're there. You take your consciousness and you think of yourself there in that dimension at that time, and then you open your eyes and your body's there. You never went anywhere. Because all time and space exist here and now. This is the center of the universe, right here. Not in Drago's room, not here thinking it's the ego. Right in front of you, Rob. Put your finger right in front of you. Try it. That's the center of the universe. It doesn't matter what planet you're on. Everywhere is the center of the universe. because we're just one mind thinking that we're separate.
Because time's not linear, I guess, in the sense that we think it is.
Time doesn't
it's
even
all
exist.
happening.
Time, Anunnaki brought time.
Wow.
That's why they called them the Greek and Roman gods. It all goes back to Chronos. They brought time and they reversed it. Technically, the way the universe flows is counterclockwise. That's why a lot of planets spin counterclockwise. What the Anunnaki did, they reversed it and spun it clockwise. That's why even certain symbols we would say are very controversial from World War II, those symbols were taken from something ancient before those ideologies existed in Germany. But you'll see that symbol, it spins counterclockwise because that's the spin of the universe.
Wow.
So you can reverse engineer that spin, and you can also program it for bad if you reverse the natural spin. It's like a tornado field. We're all inside a torus. Everybody thinks we're inside an Earth torus. Yes, as part of the illusion. But God is a torus. It is just a big sphere of information, and past, present, and future, all timelines exist here, all together at the same time. It's not separate like you think. That's why if I want to go to, if my ship, we're not using old, ancient, archaic propulsion systems. That shit is for human ants, man. Like, we don't use that. We'll pop into a wormhole or to a Laniakea node and just pop from node to node to node, or we'll just fold time. So like a lot of these Federation ships or capital class ships and stuff, they're not just traveling through space, getting somewhere slowly. They're using consciousness assisted technology to say, okay, I want to go to A234-5.2, which is an exact star coordinate of an exact planet in an exact system. The moment you input it into the consciousness, the moment it's received through the AI, your ship is automatically there. You folded time and pulled it to you. So if this 3i Atlas wanted to invade us and it's draconians and all this other shit, they could have came anytime they wanted. They're doing this long game psyop for a reason. Most non-regressive, okay, I can't even say that. Most advanced ET species, they don't use just linear propulsion systems. The universe is too big. Just with time, the illusion of time, you leave the Earth and you come back, it's no longer 1970. You know what I'm saying? If you left in 1970, it could be 70 years later because of the light year speed you traveled or did not travel. Do you understand? It gets extremely complicated, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of these ET stuff, they don't use a standard propulsion. And if they do, they're not really advanced.
Yeah. This is a funny quote by Elizabeth. Elizabeth says, "It boggles my mind. All time is past, present, future, but I still need to go tomorrow to the store and pick up toilet paper." It's true. We have to continue living our lives, right? It's like that's what's crazy about this matrix. You know, it's a weird conundrum we find ourselves in here. But whatever this is, we call life. You know, it's really bizarre. You know, would you agree?
I would say it's as bizarre as realizing that the toilet you're pooping in that you're about to run out of toilet paper with doesn't exist the moment you leave your house and you go to work. So you're coming back to there is no toilet paper. There is no spoon. It's only the perception of being low on toilet paper. Does it physically manifest into matter?
Wow. That's deep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because I believe we're in a holographic universe, right? We're in some kind of matrix, I guess.
Yeah, we're in a matrix over a matrix. The original matrix was, you have to understand, anything physical is part of a matrix system. When Source split itself, like you see right here, my website's called fractaloflight.com. Everybody is a fractal of Source, a piece of God. If you can understand how powerful that is, apply that to your life. So if you hurt somebody, you're only hurting yourself, and that's what karma is. You have to experience how you treated yourself. And one thing I learned with regressive hypnosis is most people, they forgot that this is a game, that it's an illusion. And they just repeat the same lifetime over and over and over and over. It's like playing the same video game where you're desperate to beat it, but you can't. and there's nothing else to play. You don't have an option to put the game down, but you just can't figure it out. You can't figure out how to beat the bad guy. So the bad guy beats you to death in every single life. It could be an abusive relationship. It can be a physical disability. It can be anything. And I put these people under, and they're like on their 50th try. Like I met a guy at the Super Soldier Activation Conference in Orlando 2 weeks ago, and I recognized him when I saw him. I knew who he was from other lifetimes. And he conveniently was one of the guys that was lined up for me to do hypnosis sessions on. Keep in mind, this conference, I was only asked to speak there about 6 weeks in advance. And most of my presentations, most of my slots are filled a year in advance. People prepay for hypnosis sessions minimum a year in advance for any conference I do. So anytime I go to a new conference, people think I'm available. I'm like, all my spots were filled last year. And most of them were prepaid, so I don't have a choice. So This was the first time I said, hey, I have a completely open schedule. So for the first time in my life, I decided to push myself, because for me, conferences is about networking. It's about meeting your soul family and reactivating each other and telling the stories and remembering each other. That's what I pay money for. When I'm not speaking at a conference, I'll end up paying like $2,000 to just go for the conversations with people, not even necessarily hear the lectures. I know most of everything that everyone's going to say, because either I've heard it before, I've read it in their book, or I heard it in their YouTube video last week. Like, there's not a lot of new stuff people talk about. So I go for the conversations, and that's the most important part, man.
I'm the same way. I when I went to the Full Disclosure Now conference this year, it was more about the conversations for me as compared to the, I still enjoyed all the lectures that I did watch and stuff. But I mean, are you excited for next year's Full Disclosure? And are you doing any conferences? I know you said you might do the Basis conference, but are you doing any other conferences that you know of? Like from
Basis conference is coming up in December 12th through the 14th. So that's coming up here in England, December 12th to 14th. I was going to talk about that at the very end of the interview. Kind of give a website and a little shout out to Miles Johnson. There might be another conference in Timonium, Maryland, but we're trying to see what the audience is. We got to see how much audience we can build for this, and that would be in January. So I might go there in January if we can get an audience big enough. But
I might go to that too.
Yeah, because Brandon's a super cool dude. I really want to see him build a really big conference, because he's piggybacking off another huge conference that was established the last 15 or 20 years. So like, I believe that dude can build something big. So I'm trying to help him. I'm trying to bring notoriety to him and like really try to help build that, because we need more people starting more conferences. And it sucks because they cost a lot of money to run a conference, man.
Yeah, and he's doing his relatively cheap, right? I think it's like $60 or something like that.
Ghetto cheap. And I like the fact that it's only 2 days. Most of these conferences are like 5 days, which is a bit much for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But going for a weekend to hang out with people, that's cool. Oh, I was talking about Super Soldier Activation Conference. I set my conference record for the most amount of hypnosis sessions I did at a single conference.
Wow.
And
how many did you do?
I had to forgo all the networking and hanging out.
Wow.
And keep in mind, my hypnosis sessions are minimum 5 to 7 hours. Everybody thinks when you meet me that everyone else, they're like, oh, I'm going to charge this amount of money and I only need for an hour of time. Because most of these healers at these conferences, they only do 30 minutes, 1 hour, 2 hours max. And that's the whole modality. QHHT is very time intensive. So what I did was I did 4-hour shotgun sessions where I capped it at 4 hours and I lined up people one after another. And I was doing 4-hour shotgun sessions for $500. And that's SSP, extraterrestrial. And I met my handlers at that show. When I put them under, I found out that I met one, and he was my DARPA Dreamtime torturer that talks about in the beginning of my timeline that you saw today, where it talks about age 5 and the DARPA dreams, and even in vitro. He was one of the guys that was in charge of torturing me. And he didn't know that until I put him under. And at the end of that session, I looked him in the eyes and I said, I forgive you. And he had to hold back crying, because when you figure out that you hurt people, especially people you could have admired or respected in a certain way, and you realize that you were the person that they were talking about during the presentation that hurt them like that, you understand? that puts a lot of weight on the soul. So I'm like, when I meet my perceived enemies in the field, I'm willing to forgive you, because that's the right thing to do, because I would rather make an ally over an enemy any day. And that's what my fleet is about. Getting people that are going rogue and going to literally uncover crimes of their own factions. Like, these are the people that are in Spectre Wing. You know, we are the rebels of the entire Star Wars franchise, man. We're the ones that got together and we're literally fighting the Empire. And we're dying to try to defeat the Empire, and it is massive. The entire Star Wars series, it is literally about the secret space program and about Nachtwaffen. Like, the entire Empire, the Sith, those are the Black Sun Swordsasana of the German breakaway society, man. They are the worst of the worst. There's two different parts of Nachtwaffen. There's Nachtwaffen and then there's Swordsasana. If you're Swordsasana, you are literally an Nazi. I don't like to say that word. You are straight up, that's who you are. And you have no empathy, you don't have no connection to your heart chakra, and you use nothing but psionics. And that is programmed into Swordsasana. Then you have the breakaway colonies. Sure, it's German-based. Sure, it has some symbolism from World War II, but it is completely broken away from that World War II thing that we had, where that one guy with the, you know, his name starts with H, he was taking over everything. They left that guy, and he wasn't even allowed to come to space. So the Germans completely broke away from that guy that was trying to take over the entire planet. And they left him there to go to Argentina. So think about how powerful that statement is, what I just said. Because everybody thinks that Swordsasana is, they think we're all like throwing up all, I'm just saying, I don't want to say a lot of references for that kind of stuff, but like some of it is there, but it is not in tribute to that World War II crap. So it's more of a German Teutonic race based on a lot of its honor at the very top. And a lot of its bloodline. Typically, you have to be bloodline to be an officer for Nachtwaffen. You can't just be enlisted and then go up to officer class without having the genetics for it to be in German. So it's very strict.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. I was seeing, does anybody else have any other questions for Drago in the audience or something? Let me go back to my questions here, and I'll pull up. Let me see here. Back. Okay.
I would like to know how many people was physically there that watched my presentation either through live stream or was there in person. That would be cool to know. And then also, what did people think of my talk? I asked one of the guys, I said, what did my talk do for you? Because usually if you hear my talk presentation in person, it'll shatter your paradigm of everything you thought you knew about the SSP.
Yeah. Tell us, guys, if you're in the audience, if you were at James Rink's conference and what the talk did for you, if you had a reaction to it and stuff like that. That would be amazing. And let me see here. I don't know what this is here.
I'm kind of going through some of these too and looking for questions. There's a lot of comments, but not a lot of questions.
Yeah. Let me see here. Jason says it was badass. You know, so I don't think Jason was there, but I think he watched it. You know,
it's funny. Kat L says
Kelly's
presentations. Yeah, Kelly's been at all my talks. That girl is awesome. She's been at every one in person, always helping me out, man. She helped Brian run his conference. She was checking everybody in as a volunteer and giving everybody their passes and helping run that thing. So she is very valuable. Kat L says, listen to Drago's presentation on road trip while driving through DC area, gave the drive some special sauce. Man, be careful listening to my talks while driving because it can cause you to do unexpected things. So that's the only thing I'm going to say about that. But thank God you didn't pass out.
Yeah. But I remember last year at the Full Disclosure Now conference, I remember Yemi had a huge reaction to your talk. Do you remember that? Yemi had I feel like Yemi got like abducted or something. You know,
yeah, so
she had basically
she came to me and told me that she passed out and lost time during my talk. So what happened was, I think a couple of months later, she drove down with her son Zion to my house in Tampa, and I put her under to figure out what actually happened because she had her own questions. And it turns out they abducted her, the programs, the SSP abducted Yimi during my talk to make sure that she would not hear certain things in my talk. And we confirmed this with hypnosis. It was, if Yimi can accept who she truly is and what her role is, and we talk about this publicly and we release this video. No, sorry, she was under for 3 hours. When we release this video, it's going to change a lot of people. And you're going to see Yimi differently, in a greater light than you can imagine. But it's all up to Yimi.
Yeah, I agree. And she felt like she had a deep to do with Tony's uncovering of his memories. I felt like, right?
Yimi was also abducted for 2 days while she was sitting on my couch during my session while I had her under, and they were installing a technology on her throat because we were getting so much classified information that they felt the need that they had to abduct her, pull her into a body on a dome, and then install a technology on her throat to prevent her from speaking. So in the video, you can see that Yimi went completely, it is as if her consciousness left her body and there was no reaction in the body. They prevented her from talking. I had to resort to using sign language. Yimi, can you hear me? Lift your right arm. Right arm is for yes. Yimi, is there another being preventing you from speaking? Yes. Is this the SSP? Yes. But if we ever release that video, like I said, it's up to Yimi, and she has to, when some of these sessions are so powerful, when you figure out who you are and what you've done, sometimes you're programmed to not believe it because it's too grandiose. It's too big. And you're like, why me? And sometimes I'll do sessions on people and they never want to talk about it. It either traumatized them in a way that they got so many answers that they didn't expect it to go so far down the rabbit hole. So like, you guys got to be careful in what you think you want to know, because sometimes when I have the ability to do the most deepest, awesome regressions that most people's ever gotten with QHHT. This is what everyone tells me who's got sessions from numerous other people. I don't care what hypnosis style it is. But I use certain programming techniques that were used on us as kids. And again, me being a commander with my own fleet, I'm in charge of also wiping memories of my own unit and my own crew, including myself. So that means like, we have CSPs, cognitive scrubbing pods. It's a pod that goes in. It's kind of like a deneuralizer. It can be tuned to an entire mission experience or through years of combat. You can dial it to an exact moment in time that you want them to go back to. It's like take them back to the previous save point before they progressed into this new part of the video game. Does that make sense? It is literally that simple. You just delete the progress of what was made since the last save point. And that's what the CSP pod does. And a lot of times I have to voluntarily go in and relinquish my own memories for operational security. Meaning that if they take me and they use technologies on me and alters don't activate to take that trauma and that interrogation, it's designed to completely compartmentalize it away where there's no access because the memories no longer exist. It's not just they were memory partitioned off with programming codes, sigils, colors, lights, and tones where you can reactivate it. It's completely gone. It literally removes it from experience. And most people, they don't get those memories back because less than 3% of all MILABs and SSP experiencers actually wake up. Less than 3%. The blank slate technology is that good. Less than 3%. But that's a lot if you think hundreds of millions of assets.
Do you believe that so many people are being used? Like,
yes. There's billions of people on the planet. They're using hundreds of millions.
Wow.
And most of them don't even know about it. It's like Neo waking up in the cloning tank in the deep underground military base where he looks around and then everybody's in a tank next to him.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like I feel like I might be being used because people have told me that they have memories of me, but like I have no memories. But then weird stuff happens to me. Like I was saying, like I was walking today before our talk, and I felt I wasn't going to say anything, but I felt like I was being gang stalked. You know what I mean? Like weird
I
characters were
know
coming.
I know enough high level people, especially enough high level remote viewers that's remote viewed you and your experiences in the SSP. You're a pretty big player in the SSP too. And the role
Really?
you play, well, I mean, just saying like the role you play, you're a player in the SSP. And
Yeah.
it's not, a lot of people know it for a fact. Like Jessica Huntress, she would know if she's remote viewed you. She knows your SSP. It's going to be up to you to come to a person like me to get a session done to be like, okay, I've now been verified by Drago Reid. Here's the interview. Here's the video of me being under talking about these things. And I can show evidence that you clearly were not robbed when you were saying it. I can't tell you why now, but there are certain things that a person does when they're under that lets you know they are deep and they were really seeing these things, and your mind can't make it up. It's just not possible.
Wow.
Like
wow.
Matthew Mornian. I had him under for 5 hours at my house, and he dedicated like 60 pages of his book, Remember Your Mission, about his hypnosis session that I did on him. So what an honor to be in Matthew's book, man. This is like the 8th book I've been in about 2 years. I have Ileana Elka that's writing a 2-part book. You can find the other book online on Amazon. And it's 2 remote viewing projects about me and about my special access program fleet and some of the altars on these ships. And then you have like people like John Whitberg. 3 of his books, he's talking about one of my altars, just a single altar. And it is extreme detail about stuff. So just imagine that like his series is only about Kyle Delshow, one of his altars. So all 4 of those books is just a single experience of one clone life, man. Imagine that. Like you can write entire series, volumes of books about one single clone's experience or altar's experience in the SSP. And we have voluminous amounts of clones in some of these programs with voluminous altars in these individual clones while we're also here in the here and now running those clones.
Wow. That's insane. This is from Joby Cummings. Joby says, Drago, and by the way, guys, if you see me looking down, that means I was just looking down at my phone to look at my questions here. I had my phone, but anyway, he says, Drago, I was meditating where I viewed soldiers in black exosuits and they saw me and they cut my connection. I feel like they visited me a few weeks later. It was a scary night. Why do you think this was?
Well, the problem, Joby, you think that you're not an experiencer when you are. We've talked about this behind the scenes, even at when we were at Rebels of Disclosure. And we talked about that privately. And when I look into someone's eyes, a lot of times I know if they're an asset. There's a signature you put off. It's in your energetic field if you're an asset or not. And one of those signatures, not always, but one of those signatures is a kind of eye contact. I don't want to describe what that eye contact is because it'll allow people to mimic it in the field. And I'm not going to do that. Like a lot of stuff I talk about, I don't talk about the details of them. I'll tell you the superficial stuff, but if I start getting during an interview and they start asking me details about an operation or a mission or me being on Triton or stuff, I'm going to be very specific in how I answer that because remote viewers want to remote view everything about me. So some of these things, they cannot be remote viewed for security reasons because it'll put other assets on target lists. So I've always been careful with that. But like I said, Joby, they wouldn't be appearing to you like this if you weren't an experiencer yourself, period. And one of the things that tells me you're an experiencer is you're an amazing tattoo artist. A lot of us, we express our trauma of being in the programs through art. We can put around the most beautiful colors on skin. And when I see your art, I can see your pain reflected in your art. Like quite literally, when I see your art, man, like you're very 3D and you use layers of colors instead of using black line work, and like you're creating these hierarchies of energy and conveyed it in sacred geometry in ways that most humans will not compute, man. So like I think you should give yourself more credit and think that you're more important than you actually are. You know what I'm saying? I know you are.
Yeah.
Just like Rob here, like I've talked to I've talked to other high level commanders on the down low that talk about Rob and what Rob does on ship. So like, I know Rob's legit. I know he actually is on ship and he's actually combat active, not used to be in the programs. I'll just say that.
I still have no memories, you know.
That's because blank slating works on less than 3% of us, man. If everybody was waking up, blank slating technology would be shit.
Yeah, and then that's their goal is to blank slate. Yeah, they're blank slate.
The only way, Rob, you have to get a QHHT session from me. You're gonna have to set that up if you want to get verified. People like coming to me to get verified. I don't know if it's because it's me or because of what I've done or because I've done 900 sessions on mainly assets and Monarch and trauma-based mind control and MK Ultra programs. I don't know if it's my knowledge that I know, but I do know that I can give you such a freaking experience that most people can't replicate it because I'm doing these kind of techniques and other incarnations. I did this kind of hypnosis when I was a priest at the Temple of Vetfu in Egypt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, except in that body, I was priest line. I was literally Anunnaki. I was bloodline born into that role. And I helped heal the divine feminine. Women would come to me because at that time when the Anunnaki came, they went to kill all the goddesses. It was originally a lot of these different timelines and stuff that was controlled by the women. And the men, the Draconians and the Anunnaki, they kind of usurped that control from the goddesses and the divine feminine, and they made it War of the Kingship and about the kings rolling everything, and the queen is secondary to the king. But in real life, man, a lot of the queens have the most power. Like, tell me the queen of Thuban does not have more power than the damn king of Thuban does. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's the divine feminine, and they've definitely tried to, like, you know, stifle the divine feminine.
So they would come and they would lay on my stone table, and I can look through their body and see their chakras. My hybridization for that bloodline of priesthood, we can see into bodies and we can psychically know, we can read your incarnations and shit. And my job was mainly to realign the divine feminine that was lost within the feminine blueprint of all the females on the planet, because they did that to control the planet. If you have a mix of both yin and yang, male and female, where it's all equal, you have the best timelines. You have the worst timelines where they're controlled when a certain one asserts the power over the other and it doesn't become equal again. So it's like the justice scale. If one is way up here and stepping on the woman, then you're going to have nothing but chaos and control and kingship that'll never end. Wow. But like I said, I've been doing these techniques in other lifetimes. I've been doing these techniques on ships. So it's not like you're not just getting an Earth-based Dolores Cannon QHHT session from me. You're getting a totality of my incarnations, my experience in the SSP, in programming, because I've also had to program soldiers as well. So I've acted as a handler as well. We've all been handlers. That's part of your job. If you're in the SSP, you have to act as a handler. That doesn't mean you're a bad guy. Handler doesn't mean bad guy. Handler just means it's your job to oversee this person, or if they start, it depends. There's super bad handlers and there's good handlers. Some of the good ones, they do things that can risk getting them killed. And it does happen on a regular basis because, like, you get to a point where morality starts kicking in and you realize you're just part of this process of enslavement. And, like, you try to see yourself where you're not a slave, but you're just the amount of slave as the person you're handling is. So do you want to wake up at that point? That's what Spectre Fleet is for. That's what Spectre Wing is for. We have the people that are waking up that's willing to take these systems down.
Yeah.
And I've died for it way more than once.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to notice was, or I wanted to point out, was that you do your sessions in person, right? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there. I just thought it was important to know you only do your sessions in person the way that Dolores Cannon wanted it, right? And
that is Dolores Cannon rules. I've had people always give me crap for that in the comments about how I protect it and I won't do it online. I'm like, I'm not going to lose my license just to do a session for you online. Like, if you get caught doing QHHT online, you will get banned from the school. And that is not good. There's one famous practitioner that ended up getting banned from the QHHT school, and she's the reason why I got into QHHT. because she was talking about things that go outside of QHHT that kind of run in juxtaposition to what QHHT would be. So like, I respect Dolores Cannon enough that I will never do this online. Now I will be coming out with my new hypnosis technique next year. I've already created it, how it's going to be. You know, it won't be QHHT. This will be a completely breakaway hypnosis technique that I can do online. Because most of my clients, unfortunately, they fly in from other states or other countries. I would say 80% of my clientele all fly in or drive in from another state, which is extremely humbling. That they would spend more money on a flight and a hotel than my QHHT session costs. And like my sessions, I offer 3 packages. My first package is $369. That's like 4 hours. That's more your basic stuff. If you want like a super soldier, extraterrestrial, expanded kind of session, I charge $500. That goes into like maybe 5 or 6 hours. Then I have an
holy shit, that's a long time.
That is an average QHHT session. That's the problem. Everybody thinks that they're so used to these other people online that it's only 30 minutes to 2 hours for the whole technique, and that's it. Like, people don't understand with QHHT, I interview for minimum an hour to figure out who you are, what are your questions, what your life struggles were. I can have you under for an hour and a half to 2.5 to 3.5 hours. And then we have a post interview. So that is a minimum amount of hours, period. And this is why up till the Super Soldier Conference, I didn't do a lot of presentations at the other conferences because it'll eat your entire day. If I start at 9 a.m., my last session will end at 11 p.m. the same day. And then I got to repeat that every single day. So I don't get to go to any of the talks, and I don't get to meet my friends and hang out at nighttime at the fire pits. And I've got to forgo all that awesome connecting stuff in order to do these sessions on these people.
Yeah, that's right. I barely saw you. I don't even think I saw you at dinner sometimes, you know, when we were at the conference, you know, like you were off doing sessions. I remember. Yeah. Like, I remember you
I did a lot
of
the times.
Conference.
Yeah. One of the biggest deals is I don't go to a lot of the dinners because they don't cater to vegetarians. It's always just like 99% meat. And the only thing to choose from that's vegetarian is lettuce, a roll, and some desserts a lot of the times. So it's just like, it stresses me out. Like, it's just like, can you not cater to, 70% of your audience is probably vegetarian that comes to these freaking conferences, you know? So like, you have to cater to vegetarians. So that's the side effect. If I'm not going to go to a dinner, if I'm going to be sitting there upset that I'm eating a freaking dinner roll and some freaking lettuce, like, I'm not no rabbit.
Yeah.
Even though I'm vegetarian,
how long have you been vegetarian
freaking
for?
lettuce all the time. Like, good Lord.
Yeah. How long have you been vegetarian for? Has it been a long while?
9 years.
Wow.
9 years.
And how do you feel? Like, do you feel pretty good being, like, do you feel pretty healthy and
morally,
stuff?
I feel amazing. But every day is a struggle when you smell meat. Like, I like to tell people, I've told you this before, I'm basically like a tiger in the wild that one day woke up and saw food. And then for the first time, I saw them as beautiful and realized that I would rather die starving than ever eat one again. And I would rather die of health nutritional problems than ever eat another soul again. So that's what I chose. And it took ayahuasca for me to discover that. So one of the prerequisites for doing ayahuasca, I actually did ayahuasca in like middle of 2016, probably about a year after I moved here to Florida from Texas. And one of the prerequisites for doing ayahuasca in advance is they said you shouldn't eat meat for 2 weeks before a ayahuasca session because the proteins can interact with the chemicals. It's a 2-part process with ayahuasca. That little catalyst that happens, protein can actually affect the catalyst of it from actually mixing and going deep and even have an experience. So after my ayahuasca session, 2.5 weeks later, I realized that I wasn't craving meat anymore. But one of the things I was shown during my experience was if I wanted to evolve as a soul, I have to realize that there's only one being in the universe. So everything outside of me is me. And I was choosing to harm other beings simply because I needed a single dinner for a single night. I had to take a being's life just to have a full tummy and not care that it took a life and I took an experience away from another being just because I wanted to fill my belly for a single night. And I was shown that connection to source and how I was eating myself, and it changed me, man. And I always said from that moment, I probably have health problems from not eating meat because my blood type, probably I have to eat meat. But I would rather die and wither away long term than ever eat another being again. And that's my own experience. I don't push my ideology on anybody. It's not an ideology. I'm choosing to see everything outside of me as well. And out of respect, I can no longer contribute to that experience because I have to see above it. You know, it's not about being better than anybody. It's just more like I choose others over myself for the first time in my life.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. It's something I struggle with a lot, you know, because I like you, I feel bad for the animals. I really do. I really do. I get guilt when you know, so it's definitely something it
was the guilt for years I would have. Like when I moved here to Florida, I had to drive an hour to go to my work, which was a tattoo shop in Tampa, because I lived like an hour north of Tampa for the longest time when I lived here. And for 30 minutes of that ride was in the woods, is in the country. And all I would be surrounded with is cows everywhere. And after so many years, I would see these babies grow up. And the thing that really got to me was, out of nowhere, all the adults would all be gone the next day. And then a week later, you see all these babies that are like 6 months old, not even a year old, and they're all in the pasture, and there's no adults anywhere. I'm like, every single one of those cows that I would take joy in as an individual, driving past them or stopping to acknowledge them, every single time I would pass them, I would have to think about every day. I'm like, these animals are living this freedom that they don't truly have, and they think this is all life is. And then next thing you know, they have a horrible traumatic death that every single one of those beautiful beings are set to experience now. They're going to be stabbed to death. They're going to have their head cut off. They're going to have their body put on hooks and drained while they're still alive. So it was years of watching the slaughterhouse videos where they say they kill animals and stuff. These animals do not die when you put a bolt to their head and you start cutting their throats and their heads off. They are still alive when they're put on these hooks, man. It is very traumatic. And you got to be a strong person to watch that stuff. And it was watching that stuff that reminded me they do the same thing to human beings. I have literally watched it myself. And I realized I could no longer replicate as above, so below, as they do in the programs, treating us as literal meat bags for profit. And I just saw them as myself.
Yeah.
Because every beautiful being that's part of that nice, beautiful, open country, they're all going to be slaughtered to death. It's kind of like seeing a bunch of people you wave to every day and you acknowledge them as beautiful, and you know that within 3 years, they're going to be in front of a firing squad and have their entire bodies cut up while they're alive.
Do you think there was... I'm sorry, I was going to say, do you think that was something that was brought on by the Anunnaki? Do you think they taught humans to eat meat, and do you think maybe we weren't supposed to? But they say we have teeth to eat meat, so it's like, I don't know. You know what I mean? There's so many different theories.
So you're saying that... So you're saying we don't need teeth to eat plants?
That's true.
Sure, we have canines because we eat meat, but you have to get to the point. You got to get to the point where you evolve and say, I can no longer take part of this. How can you exist in a higher system if you're willing to sacrifice another being? Like it's an ant. Like when I walk, I am constantly looking for ants in my path. You know how many ants I save every single day? I know that means nothing to humans. Every single one that I pass, I know that when I die, I hope to see from their point of view and their eyes that I choose to save their life and not step on them even on accident. Like, this is why I don't even like walking in grass. Because like when I walk on grass, the first thing I think is I'm going to be stepping on beings. and not even realizing that I'm Godzilla in the Godzilla movie while the humans are trying to sting me because I can't understand that I'm extinguishing all this life because I'm so large, I can't see as that above so below kind of mentality. So I have to lower myself in a way where I'm constantly watching them and wanting to not harm them, or I will save them. I constantly look for bees in parking lots that's in a part of the parking lot where the sun is. I find bees all the time that are either dead or half alive because once they hit that concrete, they started burning. And the sun started just taking away, like it started killing them. So even though they might be at the end of their life and they're still just barely moving their wings, I will still pick them up and I will still put them under a tree and I will give them a blessing. And I'm saying, I'm sorry, man. You know, I would rather you die in a form of peace than be baked in the freaking sun. Because I would hope that somebody would do that for me in another lifetime.
I love that. Yeah, yeah. And I just want to clarify something. So one of my moderators, Spiritual Ascension, says, Matthew, they just mentioned you were regressed in SSP, then afterwards denied it. No, we didn't say that. Drago didn't say that, and I didn't say that. The chat said that.
Okay,
so,
what did they say?
Someone in the chat said that, but we said Matthew was regressed, and then he denied it. And I said, I didn't say that, and Drago didn't say that. People in the chat said that. You guys got to get it right. Like, we didn't say that. You know, I'm really good friends with Matthew.
I did not say that.
You know,
not only did he admit it, he has 60 pages in his book talking about his experience. So, like, you can't deny something you published in the book. So I don't know where that came from.
Yeah. I don't know why, you know. So I don't want people to, like, get mad at, you know, like, anything we're saying or anything like that. You know what I mean? I just want to, you know,
yeah, because there could be misunderstandings. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
exactly. That's like I'm really close with Matthew, so I don't want there to be like trouble. You know what I mean? Yeah, like
exactly. Like you got to defend a friend when something happens. And again, if it's from a misunderstanding, that's fine. But we both didn't mention that. If Matthew mentioned that, I would love to know. Maybe send me a link to that because that would basically go against everything he's talked about during his presentations and his book. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, this was awesome, Jerry. We went about 2 hours. Is there anything else you want to cover before we finish up? And thanks, man. This was cool.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about some of the things I actually do. A lot of times at the end of an interview, I always forget everything to say. And I'm like realizing I need to write it down, man. So this is what I do. You can see my work at fractaloflight.com. And it is in person only. A basic session starts at $369. I have an SSP package for $500. But like I said, that's 5 or 6 hours. So it's not like I have you for an hour and a half and I'm charging you $500. You're spending half of a day with me or more for my sessions. I also do 1 hour and 3 hour Zoom consults, video to video Zoom consults. So we can talk about your experiences. I can use Dolores Cannon's body talk to help diagnose injuries, things that's going on in your life, cycles you can't break. And I can give you the answers you need. And, I do 1 hour Zoom sessions for $75 and 3 hour Zoom sessions for $180. So you can save them money for having 3 hours. You can, just like Rob said, I have a podcast called Portal to Another Dimension on rumble.com. It is not on YouTube because I haven't got it back yet. So everybody's getting their accounts back. Bless you, Rob. Getting some stuff back finally. They haven't given me mine back because
they haven't given me my YouTube back.
Still not yet.
No, they still haven't given my YouTube. Like, I think they gave Laura and all them first, like Chris from Forbidden Knowledge News and Journey to Truth, because they got theirs taken away a couple years ago. Maybe they're going through all the channels. Like mine was taken later, so I'm thinking maybe I'll hopefully get mine back. Like, you know,
I could have sworn you got yours back, but again, I got misinterpreting.
I got my audio podcast remonetized, which was better because like my audio podcast is more of like a better source of income. So that was actually better for me. But like, and I was going to tell everybody, listen to the audio podcast, but I'll wait till you're, you know, but I wish I could get my YouTube back. You know, like it would be, I'm hoping to get it back, you know. I don't know.
I just don't see a reason why you wouldn't at this point. You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen some pretty controversial people get their entire everything back. Even the ones that you would think are censored videos you don't want to be in public, they're getting all those back. So I think that's what we need, man. We got to be the change you want to see, and you got to imagine in your mind what kind of world you want to live in, and you have to create. Everybody gets their channels back. We finally get our freedom of speech. We could finally have SSP. Nuremberg trials where we start bringing this evidence forward and assets are acknowledged for the first time, and we can have our own DD 212 discharge forms, and non-discharge forms, we can actually be finally confirmed. And you're like, it would be nice to have a veteran plate on the back of my car that said I was in both the Air Force and the Navy, but I can't. Because, like, imagine me telling someone who's in the Air Force or Navy, if they see a plate like that, they're like, well, where did you serve? What unit were you in? I'm like, say, well, most of it's been in deep underground military bases. I was abducted when I was 5 by the Air Force. Like, most of the guys in my family are military. And I don't tell them my experiences anymore, because when you tell someone who is currently in the military that you had these experiences your whole life, but you've never officially been in the military like he has, it's not the best conversation. Yeah. So it's taught me that I got to pick my battles. But again, I look forward to the day where we can talk about these things and we're verified, and it's no longer conjecture or like delusion or programming, like they just say. Everybody who's talking about this is programmed, and they're all MK Ultra. Sure, a lot of us went through MK Ultra, but our experiences are real, man. You know, like I said, Portal to Another Dimension on Rumble.com. I have both of my podcasts there, and one of the podcasts is with Laura Eisenhower. I'll also be speaking at the Basis Project, which is Miles Johnson's conference called the International Disclosure Conference, and that's December 12th through the 14th at Bouverie Hall in Pusey, England. So it's coming up this December. This is the guy that brought out Max Spears. Like, Max Spears' entire reach and the impact he had was because of Miles Johnson. So when a lot of these people that I serve with are saying that I'm the new Max Spears, man, it's both an honor and it's not a good thing. You know what I'm saying? So Thank you for people that's seen that power within me. And if you want to go to that conference, you can go to basistv.org and buy your ticket. Go to England, man. Go to England before it's illegal to go to England and not even have freedom of speech. So I'm trying to do it before I offend people in England and get arrested for speaking at an international conference. So, Amir Jahangiri is going to be there. Brad Olson, Penny Badley will be speaking through Zoom. Randy Kramer is going to be there. I served with Randy Kramer. We actually got to talk at the Full Disclosure Now conference.
Yeah, he was cool.
Yeah, Randy's a fiery person. He has his own personality, and he's freaking pretty cool behind the scenes. But like, me and him have served together in different programs, so that is pretty cool that we're all meeting up and activating each other's memories, and it's going to be a wild ride from here, man.
Yeah, I was going to say I met Randy as well. He was a really cool guy, and I was going to say if that's it for Drago, then this was an amazing show, guys. Thank you everybody for tuning in today. I was going to say listen to the audio podcast. I put the link in the description. It's on Spreaker, and since I'm remonetized again, it'll help a lot. And tomorrow is Gene Decode. I have Gene Decode tomorrow, so that'll be a fun show. And that's it. Yeah, and that's it for me, guys. Thank you so much, Drago. You're awesome, dude. And I appreciate everybody, and I really appreciate you, man. I enjoy every time you come on the show. Thank you.
I'm always here for you, man. Until next time, everybody.
Until next time. Good night, guys.